Hello everyone, MFPallytime here. Welcome to Fallout 76 if this is the first time you're seeing me play it. For those of you that have been watching my streams on Twitch lately, you'll know that I've been playing this game a ton. I decided I wanted to give you guys my first impressions of Fallout 76 because I know that it's getting some very mixed reviews, and I just wanted to chime in with my 2 cents. Now, I'm getting ready to travel for Thanksgiving, so there's not going to be a ton of footage here. There's not going to be a ton of editing. But if you'd like to sit down and listen to my thoughts, maybe in a podcast-style video with just a little something to look at, then this is going to be the place for you. Currently roaming around the southern end of the map, just trying to see what's out here. So, I want to start out by saying that since the game came out a week ago, I've banked probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 35 to 40 hours playing it. I actually got the challenge for playing for 24 hours extremely quickly. Well, we're fucked. Okay, good. Which I was not expecting to get at all. So I've really dived in deep with this game. I really like it. I'm looking forward to the end game. As of right now, I think I'm level 35 on this character, who is a punching-only character. He's all about just beating the shit out of things with his fist. And I do have another character that's like a long-range sniper using suppressed guns and trying to boost my damage that way. But just the variety of playstyles is something I really like. So, before we get into what I like about the game, I did want to say that this game is massively flawed in some areas, and I'm sure that's not a surprise to most of you. Oh, did he land? Oh, I can kill him then. Hey, bud. Okay, maybe I lied. Maybe I can't kill him. Massively flawed in some ways. It's most definitely not perfect. And I wanted to start out, before I start praising the things that I like and make you guys think I'm just trying to kiss up to the developers, because I get those comments all the time. God forbid I like something that the internet doesn't. I get so much shit for it. I wanted to start with the things that I most definitely think could be improved. And, well, quite frankly, there's a lot of them. This guy's still chasing me! Come on, man! As you might imagine, my melee build isn't super good versus flying super crazy strong enemies. Also, I can't tell you why the textures aren't loading in here. Guys, you're really making my first impressions video look even shittier. What's happening? Are we safe? Are we good? So, well, I made a list, basically, and I'm going to give you my biggest pet peeves with this game. Talk about how they could be improved. And after that, we're going to be discussing the things that I love. Now, I wanted to release this video first because I wanted you guys to kind of have a tone for the content moving forward. I have several videos ready to go, ready to release this week while I am away on holiday. And I didn't want to just drop you into the action, you know what I mean? I wanted to do a little bit of world building here for you to let you know what the game's actually like. So the things I don't like, the things that suck, the things that need to be fixed. As of right now, there is a lot of bugs with quests even being completed, especially if you're in a group. Now, I usually play in a group of 3, myself and 2 of my really good friends, and this Flavors of Mayhem quest that you see over on the right side of the screen, it took us probably 45 minutes just to get all of our quests to update at the same time. Without spoiling too much, in the game there's a robot that you meet that likes to troll you a little bit, and we went out on a quest to make a friend, and that friend didn't want to be friends with us, so we ended up having to do this stage of the quest multiple times against a guy that really didn't want to be friends with us, which made it quite hard to progress in that situation. It made it nearly impossible to progress in that situation. So that was definitely frustrating. In the game, there are camps that you can build. For instance, this is my own right here. I probably shouldn't show you where it is because the issue I'm about to talk about is that if you build your base, right, this is my camp. I loved the base building in Fallout 4. I just wanted to say I'm a little disappointed with the actual budget The actual amount of stuff that you can build in bases here, I wish it was higher, but that's a minor complaint. The real issue with the camp system is the fact that if someone builds a base exactly where my base is, then what's going to happen is that my base is going to be deleted. If I migrate servers and someone else is already here, then everything I've built here is going to be deleted. Now, granted, it gets saved as a blueprint. So this is my old base. And when it's a blueprint, you're able to kind of maneuver around and maybe find a place to stack your old building. Or you have to build from scratch again, like I did here. Quite simply, that should not happen. I would much rather wait in queue to log in, wait a couple minutes, you know, figure that out, than have to rebuild my base over and over. Now, luckily for me, that's never happened to me because I typically live in the middle of bumfuck nowhere. Like, I live down here at the bottom of the map. I used to live like somewhere in this neighborhood over here. Like, I typically don't live in high traffic areas, but if you're trying to build in between the vault and this initial airport that they have you going towards, it can be so very frustrating to just like keep a base. It can be really hard. Which obviously should not be in the game. That should not be a complication. If people are taking the time to build these places, to build these permanent structures, to make their claim on the world, breaking them down should be the absolute last resort. Should never happen, honestly. Another thing I absolutely hate, but it is being addressed already, is if you turn your microphone on in this game, you're going to have your open mic broadcasted to everyone by default. You can set it to be just your team, but it's still an open microphone, so that means there's no push to talk, and it's super sensitive. If there's a fan in the background, your mic is going to be broadcasting all of the time. It's really bad. Where I'm going right now is a place, well, I'm going to the vault for a free fast travel, but then I'm going to be going to a place for one of these public events, and I really like the public events, by the way. We could talk about that in a little bit. But I was just starting to level this character. I was just starting to level my punching character, and I go out to this event at Mama Dulce's Food Processing, and how do I say this delicately? One of those streamer types came by. So I was getting into the world. I was fully immersed. I had my volume up. I wasn't streaming. I was just ready to live the Fallout life. And as I was doing my quest, right? As I was doing my quest, I just hear, "Oh, hey, everybody. Thanks for stopping by. How's it going over there? Oh, hey, Jake, welcome back. Thank you for that fucking 26 months. Hey, bud, how you doing? Oh, man, those California wildfires, those are crazy. That's crazy. That's what's happening there. I used to live in California, and when I was in California, weed wasn't legal yet." And it was just like, oh, my God. Now, I fully realize the irony of me being a streamer and YouTube content creator being annoyed by someone else that's streaming, but it's different when I tune in, you know what I mean? It's different when I open up YouTube, when I open up Twitch and go and watch someone broadcasting. This was a guy just completely moving in and ruining my immersion because of the open mics that he was just broadcasting to the fucking wasteland. And I'm bringing you here because this is where it was. It was actually a really intense area, especially for a low level. There's enemies everywhere. There's constant respawns. You're on a time limit. You gotta move. You gotta do stuff. There's enemies literally flooding in from every direction once you actually start up this event. And I couldn't focus on any of it. And I understand that there's a little bit of There's a little bit of me being a hypocrite with that bugging me, but also being the thing that I do for a living. But man, it was driving me crazy. So push to talk is being added, but that was definitely one of my biggest complaints when the game launched, you know, this week. They said they're working on it. It's not in the game yet, so I still wanted to address it. Another thing that I think this game could really use is just a local chat. Just being like it's like Destiny. When Destiny came out, there's no chat. You can't just type. We're playing a PC game that doesn't have the ability to type. Just a small chat box for a local chat. Hey, guy, you want to trade? You know, that kind of stuff should be encouraged. And it's just not, which is weird. It's not supported at all, which is just weird. Some more of this beef stock. Another issue that I have is that when you're going over to vendors or when you're just trading with your allies, the inventory system is way less intuitive than you would think. So for instance, as you're progressing through the game, and this is a persistent game and progression is important, and you can progress in a lot of different ways, by leveling up, by getting gear, but also by learning to craft different things. And so, for instance, I have these plans here for Raider, pocketed Raider armor limbs. I have no way of knowing whether or not I already have this plan without clicking on it. Turns out I didn't have it, so I've learned it. If I find another one, I won't know if I have it until I click on it. And that may sound like a minor inconvenience until you realize that vendors are also selling these plans. Vendors are selling you ways to improve your house, selling you ways to make your armor better, and things like that. And if you don't have what you know memorized in your head, cross-referencing that kind of seems impossible at the moment. I suppose you could go to a crafting bench and look and see what you can make, but really, the fact that that is even the method just shows how inconvenient the system actually is. I don't know if I get more time for this public event or not. You gonna give me more than 20 seconds? Nope. Okay. Hey, guys! I wish I could have shown you the more action-packed part of this mission, because they really do just start flooding in. It's pretty fun, actually. I really like that one. The carry weight in the stash is just atrocious. Just atrocious. So, this Fallout games, to me, have always been about hoarding as much stuff as humanly possible, and then like bringing back mementos even from like all over the wasteland. Just getting as much shit as you can possibly hold, and then keeping it. In this game, however, there is a pretty strict limit on what you can store back in your base, if I could ever get back to it. The stash limit, as of right now, is 400 pounds. I have characters in Fallout 4 that can carry 800 pounds. I don't know if that's true or not, I'm just throwing out that number, but 400 pounds is basically nothing. And in this game, it's ridiculously hard to get caps. Everything sells at such minuscule values, such tiny values, that you're incentivized to scrap everything to become self-sufficient. So let's say you find a gun, you can take it to a workbench and scrap it to get, let's say it's a hunting rifle. You would get like wood, scrap metal, and rubber. And then you could use that to repair other pieces of gear, to potentially craft other pieces of gear, to do things like that. But if you do that too much, then all of a sudden you can't hold on to anything. And there are ways around this. You can turn your heavy materials into bulk over here at the tinkering station. I just wanted to show you my stash while I was talking about it. So I'm at 345 out of 400 pounds, and this is after dropping all of the ammunition I've ever collected. This is after giving away every grenade I've ever owned, pretty much. It's really hard to save stuff because of this weight capacity. And this is something that they're hoping to improve by the end of the year. I just don't quite understand how we got so far away from, you know, collecting. Because really, at the end of the day, exploring and collecting was half of what Fallout was for me. And it's weird to see that changed. If you wanted to make your junk materials lighter, first of all, you need plastic to do any of it. But you can come over here and, like, let's say this... What do I have a lot of? This aluminum. So if I wanted to make it so this aluminum didn't weigh as much in my stash, I have to use plastic to turn that into bulk. And, you know, plastic's not the easiest thing in the world to get, I will say. I do know a good spot, though. Video about that coming out soon. PvP is kind of buggy at times. So how PvP works in this game is, let's say there's another player right here in front of me. If I hit him, he can look at me and hit me back, and then PvP is on. There are a few flaws with that system. So the other guy... In that scenario, the other guy has all the time in the world, so he can... If I hit him, he can put his power armor on, he can take his psycho to take reduced damage or whatever, and then initiate, and then I'm at a disadvantage, which, you know, is kind of weird. That's not my biggest complaint, though. I've had some issues where I was in a 1v1 with a guy, but his team could hit me for full damage as well. Prior to that gentleman's agreement, by the way, your damage is severely limited. And I mean severely. You could shoot a guy for a fucking hour, and he probably wouldn't take enough damage to matter. Like, it's drastically reduced damage, right? Until you do that gentleman's agreement. Alternatively, there are these bases around, like this one over here that I might be heading over to right now, where you can take over these workshops that are just public workshops, and some of these places give fantastic materials. So I can go to this place, claim it for myself, and make it generate materials for me, but then another player can come contest that location. So it kind of incentivizes PvP because I have this really valuable thing, and other players would want this really valuable thing. I think that system's great. It did launch with some bugs, but they improved it really fast. Basically, if someone was taking your place over, you would hit them for reduced damage, which didn't make any sense. I believe that's already been addressed. So I didn't notice it yesterday when I was playing. So that's great. I'm glad they fixed that. I know a lot of people have been complaining that the world has a distinct lack of NPCs. A lot of people have been stopping by the streams asking if the game even has a story because of this huge misconception. The game definitely has a story, and it's honestly, I'm enjoying it so far. But there's no Valentine, right? There's no guy in your face telling you what the narrative is, telling you what to do, telling you where to go, for the most part. A lot of the story is going to be found through audio logs. It's going to be found through notes. But you do have these quest NPCs that are directing you around. They're just less abundant, not necessarily as engaging as they were in the past. But still there. Yeah, still there. Let me eat this guy. That's another thing I have a problem with, is a lot of the dialogue you're going to be getting in this game is through audio logs. And if you're playing by yourself, there's nothing wrong with that. I think that's totally fine. But if you're playing in a group, I'll be trying to listen to an audio log while my friends are talking about something completely unrelated. Or if we're streaming, for instance, the audio log volume is so quiet compared to everything else. And I know I could adjust that, and I should be adjusting that. But it makes it really difficult to actually keep up with what is going on. If you guys want to see the PvP, by the way. I mean, let's just try to fight this guy. This is one of the public workstations you can fight over. Wonder if he's going to stop me. So, I'm basically playing King of the Hill right now. He's not shooting at me yet. I also have an issue with the game not having a respec system. So if you just start out, you may not have any fucking clue what talents you're supposed to pick up. See you later, bud. You may not have any clue what talents you're supposed to pick up because the perk system in this game is brand new and very different, and most people aren't going to know how it works, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But the fact that when I put in 15 points of strength, I don't necessarily know which cards I'm going to get for those 15 points of strength, that is a bit of an issue. That's a problem. And not being able to move those points around is a problem. But again, I think they're addressing that one. I haven't heard for sure, but Twitch chat was telling me, I didn't see any official releases, but Twitch chat was telling me that you are going to be able to... Whoa, is that a Gatling laser? Woo! Come on over. So, I think he's hitting me for reduced damage right now. See what I mean about PvP kind of being buggy? Let me stand on it. I don't know why this is working the way it is. I have no idea. I already talked about the fact that vendor prices are just atrocious. And they really are. Like, you'll pick up guns that sell for 1 cap. You can't sell fusion cores anymore. You can't sell ammunition anymore. Everything like that has been completely nerfed into the ground. And to be honest with you, I'm not too sure why. So did I take this? I did. Great. Hey, ghouls. By the way, my fucking... Jeez, what is this group? My punching build is fucking busted, by the way. It's super strong. If you ever... I'm going to be releasing a video about it soon if you guys wanted to play along with it. But you take this place over because this thing generates fusion cores for power armor, which is really valuable. I mean, I'm going to let the guy have it back. I don't know, I just wanted to fuck with him for the sake of showing you how strong my build is, I suppose. But, like, I could pick up every item here, and I'm not kidding, probably make fucking 12 caps. Whereas there used to be a lot of strategies in the game in Fallout 4 to make caps really easy, like making purified water, selling ammunition that you're not using, because ammunition's all over the place, obviously. Doing things like that would slowly add up over time, and it just doesn't seem like that is in this game. And I haven't quite figured out how to get around that yet. So, not necessarily a complaint, but I'm perplexed. Let's put it that way. I'm perplexed by that decision. Also, I don't know what hit me there. Also, I've heard the game's performance is fucking terrible. Just absolutely terrible on consoles. I don't play on console, I play on PC. But the game was really blurry on PC when the game first came out. I got around this by editing my INI file and made the game look pretty good, I think. Deleted the grass to improve performance and then removed that weird depth of field blur that they had. Which improved my experience quite a bit. I like it a lot more. So, that's my list of negative things. If you're still listening, we're 23 minutes into this. I hope I made all of my points relatively clear. That is a large list of negative things, and I will admit that. This game is fundamentally flawed. Maybe not fundamentally, but definitely flawed in a lot of areas that they can improve. So, for instance, that interaction over there at the workshop, I don't know why he couldn't fight back. I don't understand. I mean, I'm giving him the workshop. I just wanted to take it over to show you guys what taking over a workshop is like. I typically really love the workshop system because it incentivizes people to kind of state their claim in the world and be like, I want this. This is valuable. Let me defend this. Let me fight for this. And that is fantastic. That is a good thing that you should be doing. Abso-fucking-lutely. By the way, I'm level 35, killing level 5s with a weapon that does 105 damage. That's why everything's kind of just dying in one swing. Just so you know. The combat actually gets really difficult in some cases. Again, we have videos of that coming out soon as well. I'm just kind of walking around venting my thoughts. You know what I'm saying, boys? You know what I'm saying? Anyway, I really like the workshops. That's my first positive point. I love taking those. They also give you a free fast travel. Fast traveling is not free in this game, and I'm totally fine with that. But being able to teleport around the world because you took these things over and building up to get resources and trying to defend them with turrets. And you also get waves of enemies coming after you while you're at these workshops. So they're not only there for PvP, they're not only there to get items, but they're also there to get XP and defeat hordes of enemies. And I remember before I got Cannibal running in my build, I used to love doing the workshops just to get food, because a lot of the times it's mole rats or dogs or stuff that's coming at you, and you can use that meat for food to help stay alive. Like, surviving is part of this game, and it's a fun part of this game. But those things just kind of help you do it a little bit more. I like to think I scared the shit out of that guy so much that he's never going to come back and take this place ever again. Uh-oh. So, make basic repairs on the reactor system. I've never done this public event before, but that does lead me to my next point. I love these public events. I think, now granted, it's Wednesday morning right now, so there's not a lot of people on. But bringing people together for these events is great. Some of these events are just hordes of enemies. Some of them are repairing a nuclear reactor, like right now. There's some escort quests. I've had some where I fight scorch beasts and just do a bunch of crazy stuff. Like, I love the world events, and I love that they come back. I love that it's just not a one-time thing. I have no issues at all doing repeatable quests out here in the open world, because the rewards for them are good, the XP's good, the items you get from the enemies that just drop them are really good. It's just a fun system. I really like it. It's really fun. And I want to take a moment to just give full recognition where recognition is due and say that this perk system, I was on the fence about it when we first started out, right? I was really on the fence about this perk system. But now that I have it in my hands, now that I've played with it, that sounds really inappropriate when I say it that way. I love this perk system. So, I play solo during the day when we're streaming, so I can use perks like Lone Wanderer. When adventuring alone, take 20% less damage and gain 30% AP regeneration, which is great for when you're playing by yourself. But when I start playing in a party, all of a sudden, this doesn't work at all. So the ability to remove this talent and slot in something else, like, what did I have before? I had a XP gain. I had inspirational, just 1 point there. It's great. Last night we had a quest where we had to get radstag meat, so I slotted in this thing in perception that has a 40% extra chance of finding meat on an animal as we went out for our rag stacks. I've been trying to figure out which weapons I want to use for my melee build, and over in the strength tree, if I decide I don't want to use punching weapons anymore, which I do, I like punching weapons. If I don't want to use punching weapons anymore, I can just take that out and put in these gladiator talents that'll increase my melee weapon damage, like my single hand weapon damage. So, like, this system's fantastic. It's really, really good. Later on in the game, there's going to be mutations. If I get a mutation that I like, I can go ahead and slot in starch genes, which will stop me from removing mutations. If I decide that I want to fucking, I don't know, it's just really good. This system's great. The fact that you can, on the fly, adjust stuff is fantastic. Now, how you get these cards is by leveling up. I wish I could show you, actually. How close to a level am I? I might, oh yeah, I can show you guys. Hold on, some fast traveling. How you actually get these cards is by just leveling up. And by leveling up, you get the option to assign a point to one of your special stats. So strength, endurance, luck, agility, intelligence, whatever you decide to level up. You can spend a point there, which increases your maximum capacity for cards up to a cap, and that cap is 15. So in strength, I have 15 points, which increases my melee damage and my carry weight. And that also means I have up to 15 points of cards that I can allocate into that system. So I have 6 unused points here because I'm waiting for some later game cards. Again, I have an issue with you not being really able to know what you're working towards without looking online. But I'm going to be able to put 6 more points of cards in. And most cards start at level 1 and you level them up by getting a duplicate card the next time you level and then putting a thing in there. I know that may sound confusing. I'll show you firsthand if you haven't seen it. It's actually a great system. I really like it. Only complaint, you don't know which cards go in which tree. There's no way of previewing them unless you look online, unless you play the game like a total min-maxer like I am. And because that system isn't clear, the fact that there's no respec system, I think, is kind of shitty. But all in all, I love the card system. I love the flexibility that it brings. And I honestly, I just think it's great. It's really, really good. Now, you may not be able to tell from what we've seen so far just walking around in this video. Like I said, I'm more just venting my mind and trying to give you some visuals for it as we go. But this game has more enemy variety than any Fallout ever before, and that shows. It keeps the environments engaging. The scorched enemies, I have to admit, are all over the place, and they're not the most engaging of enemy from a combat point of view. They don't do too much. They just kind of, you know, bandits yell at you a little bit, you know what I mean? These guys just kind of, they shoot you, they punch you, they do scorched stuff. Now, their story is interesting, and I've loved uncovering a little bit of their story as I progress through the world. I'm just saying, as an enemy to attack, they're not super interesting, but the monsters in this game are so good. I've loved venturing into areas I've never been in before and seeing a new radiation beast that I've never uncovered. And it kind of keeps me on the edge of my seat when I'm crawling around in these deep, dark caves that I've never been in before. We have a Twitch highlight of that coming up soon on the channel as well, boys. You got a lot to look forward to while I'm out of town this week. I love the bounty system in this game. Kind of going back to the PvP idea. If you kill someone in PvP or damage their goods, so if someone goes to my base and just blows it the fuck up, for every item that they blow up, they're going to get a small bounty for caps. And that bounty can be collected by anyone in the area. So let's see if anyone actually has a bounty right now. It doesn't look like it. Instead of this white dot showing me where these players are, it'll show up as a red symbol, a red cap symbol, with the bounty that that person's worth. So let's say this level 48 guy right here is worth 70 caps. That's worth my time to walk over there and try to maybe kill him. If you die in PvP, I didn't mention this earlier, by the way. If you die in PvP, you drop all of your junk on the ground. So the things that we go to the workbench to scrap. And that may not sound like a big deal face value. I guess if you die at any point in the game, that's what you drop, actually. But in PvP, the person that killed you is likely just going to loot it, right? They're just going to take it. That may not sound like a big deal at face value, but you need that junk to keep your weapons repaired. You need it to keep your armor repaired. If I lose 20 adhesive, that's a really big deal. That means I potentially can't repair 5 of my weapons, which I have to, you know, I have to use weapons. Especially with a melee build like this, being able to find a new punching weapon, that might be very few and far between. So keeping my weapons repaired is really important to my particular playstyle. So that junk is very valuable to me, and losing that is scary. But if you die, you just run back to your body and pick it up. If you die in PvP, it's likely that the other guy's going to pick it up. When I killed that guy in PvP earlier, I just left his stuff there. I wasn't trying to take his stuff. I honestly just kind of wanted to show you how hard I hit because it's cool. So we leveled up. I can show you guys a little bit of the perk system now. If you're still watching, by the way, I feel like we need a keyword. Here, I want you guys to say, so you got to be nonchalant about it, right? I used to do this all the time to see what my viewer retention actually was. I haven't done this in years. Okay, you need to be nonchalant about it, okay? Say Deathclaw in a sentence. Doesn't matter how you use it. You can even say, I don't know what a Deathclaw is if you don't know what a Deathclaw is. But just Incorporate Deathclaw into a sentence if you're still watching. Fucking 35 minutes into this rambly-ass video where I'm just sharing my thoughts on this game. Would appreciate it. Thank you, boys. Even if you already left a comment, just go back and edit that motherfucker. So, now that we've leveled up, I can show you a little bit more of the perks if you haven't seen it before. I'm sure most of you have. But, go ahead and level up. Then I can put a point into a special area, which I'm going with Endurance. And then I can pick up talents like Ghoulish, which I wanted to pick up. Radiation now regenerates your lost health. So I can go back and let's say I wanted to level Perception. I could do that instead. I am going to stick with Endurance. But just because I picked Endurance doesn't mean I have to grab an Endurance card. I can move over to, let's say, the Charisma tree, the Intelligence tree, and pick up a card here as well, just in case I need to fill out another spot on my point list here, just in case they aren't being used adequately. So I love the system. I really do. I think it's so smart. And the more I fuck around with it, the better I think it is. It just needs to, people need to be able to see what they can strive for in game. Like World of Warcraft talent trees, even though you can't unlock the talents for another 15 levels or whatever, you're still able to plan ahead. You're still able to see it ahead, and I think they really need to improve that. All right, let's see how this regeneration is. I don't have... Oh, I didn't save it, sorry. I don't have much rads. Part of my build is trying to be self-sufficient, not use chemicals, not use stim packs, not use really any healing of any kind, but still find ways to make it out here on the wasteland. And Ghoulish might be one of my answers for that. Oh, that's slow. Did I even fucking equip it? Ooh, Ghoulish, you might be terrible. Maybe I need more radiation. Oh, jeez, okay. Alright, we're gonna have to fuck around with that one. There's an example. It happened on stream the other night. I love how there's little tiny fucking details in all these areas that give you a much broader story of what's going on if you stop and look for them. If you're just running through an area, if you don't care what's going on in the area, and you're just trying to get loot, if you're just trying to scrap as much stuff as you can, you may miss it, but like there are these little notes around. So for instance, I know that there were some scavengers holding up here for years and years and years, and then the Brotherhood of Steel came by and they decided to help them. They decided to give them some materials without giving away too much. That's basically the gist of it. But you can start to look around this area and see where these people were hiding. I think in one of these side tunnels, there's like an outhouse that they made to, you know, go use the restroom in. And just small little details like that are cool. But we were in a office building in this city that's totally automated. Robots do all of the labor, that like physical labor and stuff. And the people there were just like, they would do like the programming jobs or the creative jobs or whatever. And we found a note that said, I can't stand it anymore. There's not a single trash can in this whole building. This is ridiculous. I'm submitting my complaints to the robot so they can fix this. And, you know, that was the end of it. And we were like, okay, that's weird. Like 20 minutes later, as we're still exploring this building, we go upstairs and there's a guy who he's dead in a chair, right? He's just a skeleton in a chair. But he has this note on his desk that just said, I've finally done it! I've collected all of the bins! So there were trash cans the whole time, but this guy was just stealing them and putting them in his office, and he died with them. He died happy with his fucking trash cans. And there's like just little touches in the world like that that are so funny and so rewarding when you take the time to actually look for them. And that's just one of many, 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 many examples of like little just subplots like that that really fucking put a smile on my face while I was going through this game, just going through places like this. There are some amazing areas as well. Once again, a highlight we have coming up on the channel soon is me venturing into this mine on the far eastern side of the map, way over here. Go east, they said. It'd be fun, they said. This glass cavern. And there's some just incredible environments like that that just, they just make me stop. They make me stop in awe. And there's a quest early on, if you're following the main storyline, where you venture down into this cave that has toxic air. And just the visuals in that place are just stunning. And you get a real sense that you are not meant to be in that area. That area is not for you, and you're just a visitor, and you have to get out as soon as you can. You cannot live here. You know, so there's this sense of urgency with everything that you're doing, with everything that you're trying to accomplish down there. That's just great. It's just so fucking cool. I really encourage you guys, if you're on the fence about this, you can even wait until the game goes on sale, but just follow the main storyline up until the point that you get to that cave, and then tell me you aren't blown away, because I loved that so much. It was so good. I've talked about the perks a little bit, but I really like how charisma specifically works. So, charisma in other games were just about, I guess not necessarily bartering, not necessarily dialogue, but it was just about manipulating other NPCs, right? You'd get better prices at vendors. You would get, you could sometimes mind control other stuff, make them fight for you, you know, do stuff like that. But that doesn't really work in this game. For a number of reasons. So what they did with charisma is if you still go down that tree, you do get a better cost for bartering, which I don't know how much that matters. Maybe charisma's the missing link for why I think I can't really get caps easily. But as you are putting points in charisma, who's moving? Hey guys, how you doing? You can you can share some of your perk cards with your allies, which is awesome. Just fantastic. So last night, like I mentioned, we were on that quest to get some ragstag meat. I was able to share my perk to get additional meat with my party. And again, that works just by going in here. I have 4 points in charisma, which means I can share, for every 3 points, you can share 1 level of a perk card. So Ghoulish that I just picked up, I could share that with my allies because we only have 1 level in it, and they could benefit from this radiation heal that I can't even notice at all. Or Butcher's Bounty, like I said, I can share that with any allies that I have because of my level in charisma. I think that's great. That's really, really cool. Say one of my allies are really, really slow. Well, let's go in here. It's a marathoner, and now they can sprint more. So being able to buff your party on the fly, buff your party as they go, is super fun. And I really like how they handled charisma in this game. I think they did a great job. There is a fantastic amount of weapon variety in this game, and you find it all over the place. It's sometimes difficult to precision farm what you're looking for. So again, my example, I used fist weapons and fist weapons only. Prior to level 20, it was super difficult to actually find fist weapons that I needed. But now I have so many death tambourines that I can just beat the shit out of enemies, no problem. It's one of the hardest hitting weapons I've ever seen, and I just have a bunch of them sitting around, which is really, you know, rewarding for me. I really like that. But you know, for two-hand melee weapons, there's pickaxes, there's sledgehammers, there's super sledgehammers, which have like a rocket on the end of them and propel the hammer forward like your Reinhardt from Overwatch. You know, super cool stuff like that. And then there's also legendary affixes. So if you run into a legendary enemy, you're able to get a random drop. You don't know what the drop is. And then that drop could change a weapon that you've seen many times over and kind of change how you use it. For instance, I got a vampiric pickaxe the other day, which, as you might be able to tell, I'm going for a self-sustained tanky build over here. And that vampiric pickaxe made me consider two-hand weapons because when I attack stuff, I heal. I get some regeneration. So all of a sudden, that became something that would be worth it to me to use, even though I never considered two-hand weapons before. So just the amount of variety in weapons is so good. Now, granted, that was kind of similar in Fallout 4 as well, but in Fallout 4, it was a lot more difficult to be flexible with the perks that you picked up because they were kind of cemented in unless you use some console commands or some mods to be able to respec. So the fact that you can be so flexible allows you to utilize the increased weapon variety in the game significantly more, which I think is a fantastic, fantastic addition to the game. I'm really looking forward to these things called mutations. I briefly spoke about them, but I didn't really go into too much detail. I already picked up the talent that would allow me to snapshot my mutations so they don't go away. But essentially, as you're wandering around in the wasteland, if you get some radiation on you, then that radiation, every time it deals like 5 health damage or some I'm not going over there again. Every time it deals like 5 health damage or some shit, you have a chance of gaining a mutation. And that mutation is usually a good effect coupled with a negative effect as well. So, for instance, the one I really want to combo with Ghoulish over here to hopefully make it worth something, because I don't think it was healing me at all. At least with my current level of radiation. Maybe that talent's not for me. But what I hope to combo with Ghoulish is a mutation called Healing Factor. What Healing Factor does is it increases your health regeneration by 300%. But as a negative side, as my screen's frozen, as a negative side to that, your chems, so your stim packs, do 55% less healing. So you're relying on a significant increase to your regeneration to keep you alive rather than your chemicals. And that's not a mutation that would work for every build, right? But it's a mutation that I'm looking forward to trying. It's a mutation that I think would fit really well with me, so I can strive to get it. There is a place that sells mutations somewhere in the wasteland, so you can go after a specific mutation that you want. I would say easily, but from what I understand, it costs a lot of caps. But alternatively, there's 19 mutations in the game, and you have a chance of getting one anytime you take radiation damage. It can be cured just by getting rid of that radiation damage, unless you have the Bleach Genes talent, or whatever it's called, that I have to kind of snapshot it into place. So I'm really looking forward to messing around with mutations. It adds significant customization on top of the perk system, which already has a lot of flexibility and depth to it, to add even more depth, and I think that's going to be great. One thing that cannot be understated as well, we talked about how important scrapping is earlier, and I go into a little bit more detail with this in my upcoming video about scrap, but as you are breaking down guns, so I have this place I go to every day. I farm super mutants, and these super mutants have a really high chance of having 308 gear, so we're talking short hunting rifles. They have a really high chance of having those, which means that I got a lot of them, and I scrapped a lot of them too. But every time you scrap a gun, you have a chance of learning a mod for that gun. So for those short hunting rifles in particular, I know just about every mod you can get for it. I know how to design like 12 different kinds of scopes. I can add suppressors. I can have all kinds of muzzle attachments, different stocks. I can add all kinds of shit to those short hunting rifles because I've farmed them so much. So if you have a particular weapon that you like and you can find a place that drops it reliably, there is an easy way, but a rewarding way, to be able to unlock more and more attachments and mods for that weapon easily, which is good. I'm really glad that they added that. I'm afraid of what's over this hill. Yep, I should have been. Okay, not going over there. And that's another thing I really like. I mean, it's a consistent world, so I like being able to like just explore, right? I like being able to walk around and discover things. And then when I find a place I really like that I enjoy farming, being able to go back there the next day and find, you know, like I have an adhesive spot. I have a place I can go to get adhesive. I like being able to go back and farm that. I think that's really rewarding, actually. What the fuck is that? The freak show? Oh. Cool. Oh, I'm so interested in this. Get out of here, wolf. I can't eat you. Heads on spikes? It's called the freak show, huh? A parasitic rad toad. Whoa, look at this guy. That's crazy. Oh, I was expecting this place to be a little bit big. Oh, this is a stim pack. And some honey. Weird. Super weird. There's a bowling alley? What the fuck? Sorry, I got off topic. Warning, please do not feed the animals. Another thing I really like about this game is photo mode. At any time, you can hit escape and then T on PC, and it allows you to take screenshots. So I just have a bunch of pictures of signs like this. I have a bunch of pictures of me posing in front of really cool stuff, and like I'm saving my memories from around the world. And then what's cool is like on the loading screens, it'll add your screenshots that you took in photo mode. So you're constantly being reminded of the good times that you had around the wasteland, which is such a smart system. It's so cool. Like I want to take a screenshot of this because this is just fucking dope. Look at that. We got to find the right angle. I think this is it. And you can add a bunch of filters and do all that stuff in there with that too. Oh, back to the perk system one more time. The level cap in this game is 50. Like I said, we're at 35 or 36 right now. So, you know, we're approaching it. We're getting there. But after you hit level 50, you can still continue to get perk cards, which allow you to still level up other things. It allows you to have different ranks of a perk. So, for instance, if I only wanted 1 point in Ghoul, but wanted to put more points in other things, I could have a talent that gives me full Ghoul for one particular situation, so 3 points in Ghoul, but then 1 point in Ghoul for another situation. And again, just adding flexibility onto this perk list is something that you find a lot of depth to it if you really look. I don't know, man. I guess another thing is like, I just like how I can have quiet moments. And that sounds so stupid, but like, just being able to chill out in the wasteland. Like, I've just kind of been walking around looking at stuff. But those quiet moments are completely polarized. In certain scenarios where you just have hordes and hordes and hordes of enemies coming at you, you feel like you're getting overwhelmed. They're literally flooding in from every direction. You don't know what to do. You have a super strong scorched beast like that one over there just pop up out of the ground and start attacking you. You get the assassinatrons or whatever they're called that just shoot lasers at you from afar and all of a sudden just blow you up. There's so many big, impactful moments in this game that it's nice to be able to just, like, take a breather, you know? Just be able to open photo mode and just look at stuff. And dude, someone is shooting the shit out of this thing over here. Let's see if we can go help out. If the thing lands, I can help. I don't have very much in the way of chems to keep me alive at the moment, but we'll see what we can do. Actually, do I have any? I have 3 stim packs, alright. But like, again, with the perk system, I was having issues with my bones breaking. Like, I would go up in melee range, and guys would just beat the shit out of me, and it would break my legs, so I couldn't really walk away. And they would break my arms, so I couldn't really attack back. And I am able to... Did they kill this? Damn. Look at these guys go. Wow. I was able to adjust my build as a result of that. Is this a fucking anti-air gun? Holy shit! Wow. So, I mean, I guess I'm coming to the end of my rant. I didn't realize I was going to be talking for that long. Holy shit. This game's flawed in a lot of ways. But it's a live development game. Everything I talked about, I genuinely believe can be fixed, no problem. I really think so. And I'm excited to see the direction that this game goes. Really excited. Because I have so much fun every night just walking around the world of Fallout, just doing the quests in the world of Fallout, and seeing how they play out, and experiencing that with my friends for the first time. I've always wanted a multiplayer Fallout game, and now I have it. And, you know, the internet may not like it. You may not like it. And that's okay. Because I do. And there's nothing wrong with that. Thank you guys for watching. If you made it all the way through, you're fucking... You're something else, man. You're something else. I have to edit this within the next hour. Or at least upload it within the next hour because I have to go catch a plane. But thank you guys. I really appreciate your ongoing support here on this channel and over on Twitch. It means the world to me. And I don't take it for granted for a moment to realize how blessed and lucky I am to be able to play games that I love for a living. And this is definitely one of those games that I love. What the fuck is that, though? Oh, God, I thought that was, like, gonna pop out at me and kill me or something. That was gonna be scary. That's not how I wanted to end. Goodbye, everybody. Happy holidays.